Hi everyone, Happy New Year. This is the second of 2 bonus videos for you all this holiday season. This one involves me not making a speech, but rather asking a question. On Monday, December 9th, the Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, spoke at the Cleveland City Club. As is the tradition of the City Club, the audience was able to ask questions of the guest. But because of the overflow crowd, questions for Secretary Buttigieg had to be submitted ahead of time, and my question was selected to be asked. This took place at the Ohio Theater on Playhouse Square. I asked him about a set of values he unveiled during his 2020 presidential campaign called his Rules for the Road. It's safe to say you will hear more about the Rules for the Road in the upcoming weeks. Here's my question to the Secretary and his full response. Mr. Secretary, my name is Kent Smith. I'm an Ohio State Senator. My staff and I are very intrigued by your Rules of the Road from your 2020 presidential campaign. We think it's a modern approach to collaborative leadership, but how would you describe it? And can you share an unexpected positive or negative benefits from your Rules of the Road philosophy? Thank you very much.
Thank you for asking about that. And thanks for your service in the state Senate. During the time I was running for president, I felt it was very important, especially because I had gone from, it's difficult to describe the proportions of the change from leading a city. At the time, it felt like a large-scale operation, about $300 million operation and about 1,000 employees. But my personal office as mayor was 6 people. And when you're seeking the presidency, you were building a coalition of dozens and then eventually hundreds of staff and organizers, thousands of volunteers, ultimately hundreds of thousands of donors, and hoping to earn the support of millions of voters. And especially somebody who's a little newer on the scene, I thought that it was really important to convey what we were about in ways that went beyond talking points or policies. And that's where the idea of specifying our values came from. And they were values like, their specific set, things like respect for the process, for the presidency, for our competitors in what at the time was a 20-way race for the nomination. Respect, belonging, because I thought belonging was the most important things you could build in a campaign, but also was one of the most important things we were trying to build for the country. Teamwork, truth, boldness, responsibility, substance, discipline, excellence, and joy. I wanted joy to have the last word because I continue to believe, even now, that the political process doesn't have to be styled after a wrestling death match. There can be joy in that process. And I wasn't sure how far it would go, but I believed in it. I had seen actually one of my predecessors, Joe Kernan, who was the mayor of South Bend and then became governor, and who I learned a lot from, had done something similar for his city staff when he was mayor. And I hoped people would pick it up, but you never know, when especially the pace we were at and the things that we were shooting off into the world, from policy proposals to white papers to interviews. But next thing I know, I'm going to events and people are wearing T-shirts with the 10 values, the Rules of the Road on them. And that was when I knew we were really getting somewhere. Because people are more likely to, you got one of the T-shirts right there? Oh, wait. Oh, there it is. Look at that. Yeah, see? Oh, that's great. In the end, you don't actually know whether your exact policy prescription is going to land. You don't know how much sense it will make. Again, look at what confronted this administration we got there, right? I had all these great ideas of what I thought would be needed, and then by the time President Biden asked me to come do transportation, our transportation systems had basically shut down. And the biggest problem with our airline sector was to stop it from collapsing. And then a year later, it wasn't collapsing, it was booming, and the biggest problem was to get airlines to treat passengers better. So rather than assuming that your policy answer you came up with in 2019 is still going to be the right answer in 2023, make sure people know what you're about so that when some unsolvable problem comes your way, they know the values you're going to hold on to in order to navigate it. And I found that process then and since has served me well, and I look forward to seeing what values you express to your team and your constituents that you will look to as your North Star in your work. Thanks for reminding me of that. That's great.